Oh, I think this is streaming. Okay, I got all excited and I thought I've got to do a video about this because it's fantastic. But suddenly, I had a wave of self consciousness, and maybe it's not as interesting to anyone else as it is to me. But anyway, Colin, I'm looking at you and you, Jai and Mark. Uh, I was just working on the mix with the drums and the bass, and it's all sounding great. And I got to this bit, when it goes to A in Tiger Moth, and you're playing the bass. I've got the DI and I've got the mic. It's all sounding great, and then there's kind of like a scrape on the strings, like it happens with guitars, and it's coming through this, and I was listening to the mix for ages, figuring out what's that noise. And I soloed all the drums and everything, and then I figured out, oh, it's actually coming off the bass, and it must be just like a finger squeak, on the strings. So this is, I've looped it. It's only short, yeah. That doesn't sound like much, does it? But once you put it through the groups with all the compressors and the drums, it was really cutting through. And once it's mastered and everything, it's going to be this. So I was, figuring out what I'm going to do with that, because it's happening in the note. It's happening as you're playing. So the bass note is great, but there's this sort of other thing that's happening. This squeak, and traditionally, you try and use noise reduction or some kind of clever notch EQing and stuff like that. But he ended up destroying the signal. But I've got this new program called Spectralayers Pro, and you can actually go in to the waveform and play around with the frequencies and pull out things that you don't like and paint it. And I'll show you. Watch this. So whoa! So that's a spectral layer waveform of your bass. So you can change the color and everything. You can make it brighter. So how it works, if you've never used a spectrogram before, is horizontal is time, just as it would normally be, but vertical, instead of amplitude, it's frequency. So I'll use the mouse. So down here is the low frequency stuff, the brighter notes where it's all lit up. That's the low frequency. This is 100 hertz, 200 hertz, 600 hertz. This is all like the deep rumbly bass stuff. And then as you get further up here's high stuff. This is like the threshold of human hearing, 20 kilohertz up here. So, round about here, the 1 to 2 kilohertz, this is, mid-range stuff. So, we don't want to damage anything down here, because this is the bass frequencies. But that little squeak. Okay, you can see it. It's happening here. I'll just put the mouse back on. So you see. Okay, so what you can do is you can go in with like a paintbrush, and it will attenuate the signal. So you can change it, how many dB you want to go down. So let's just go down by like 10 dB, and you can make the paintbrush hard or soft, like in Photoshop. You can change the size of it, so if I'm not actually deleting, I'm just attenuating it. So I'm just making it quieter, because you can also select it and just delete, but that will impact the signature of the whole waveform. Okay, so you see that? Oh yeah, and how it works on a spectrogram. If it's bright, it's loud. If it's dark, it's quiet. So you see those two things were actually quite bright, and now they're darker, but they're still there. So the harmonics. See, all these are harmonics. It's gone. Beautiful. So those squeaks, they vanished for good. I mean, you can undo, you can bring them back, but yeah, so that's marvelous. So anything like that on the record in the past, that might have been a duff take because the squeak was unusable. But now you can just go in and play around with the Spectrum, and Bob's your uncle. Yeah, so I'm very impressed with it. And like I was saying, what else is good about this? You can actually bring in stereo waveforms, and it'll mix it down into stems. So you can just get a finished track like a famous song, and stick it in here. Press. I don't know where is it. Oh yeah, unmixed stems and unmixed components works on drums. So you could get a drum kit in, and it'll unmix it to the different kinds of drums. It's crazy. So this unmixed stems, if you had a finished mix like a master of one of your favorite bands, over here in the layers you'd end up with like a layer of drums, a layer of vocals, a layer of bass. And if there's like any sort of artifacts, the digital artifacts in the Spectrum, you can just go in like that with a paintbrush and paint them out. So you can end up with perfect, pristine multi-tracks. It's magic. It's marvellous. So anyway, I was excited by that. I'm sure no one else was, but I thought that was good. All right, I'll see you later.